Evening. This is your host, Dan Stafford, with the Midwestern Geek in Cali. And I am video casting from 42 Tardis Way in lovely Temecula, California. Summer's winter home. And I couldn't believe it when I first started reading this, but there actually used to be steamboats out in Death Valley, literally. Apparently, there was a lake called Owens Lake out in Death Valley. And it was actually a salt lake, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly. And at one time, it had 2 steamboats operating on the lake. Basically, the steamboats were carrying mining ore from mines Valley area to be, carted out. Was done by mule companies and mule teams, etc., until the railroads got there. It's pretty interesting. 2 steamboats. The first one was named the Bessie Brady, and the second one was a smaller one, but with a more powerful motor. And it was called, where is it here? The Molly Stevens. Now, interestingly enough, the Molly Stevens caught in a heavy windstorm and swamped and sunk to the bottom of the lake. The Bessie Brady actually helped recover the boat. It was lifted from the bottom of the lake and refitted and put into service. These boats were out there carrying mining ore from the mines for few years, not very long apparently. It wasn't too much longer after they started service that the mining kind of tailed off around the lake and around the Death Valley area. But can you imagine seeing a boat in Death Valley? I mean, today it's thought of as just nothing but a dead, totally dry area. And that's actually the truth, because Owens Lake was dried up by water diversion for Los Angeles in the early 1900s. But in the late 1800s, there were actually steamboats operating out on Death Valley on Owens Lake. And interestingly enough, the Bessie Brady somehow spontaneously caught fire as it was being refit with the engines from Molly Owens, the Molly Stevens, and completely burned up, absolutely, totally gone, toast. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. I've got a link here. I will be sharing it on the show, but I kind of couldn't believe it when I first read it. Now, the fun part is there's legends that, a couple of different legends, that either one ship or the other lost loads of bullion into the lake. And one legend says that a wagon load of bullion fell off in a windstorm. And another legend has that when one of the boats sank, it was carrying bullion. It sank into the lake. now it's all nothing but deep sand around there. And it was pretty heavy, deep sand that they were trying to truck out around that lake to begin with, which is why the steamboats started operation, to save the trip around the lake and get it across the lake. So apparently they have found things like a 300-pound ship propeller and a 400-pound hand-wrought iron anchor out in the sands that used to be Owens Lake. This is located in Inyo County, California. And well, today it's one of the nation's dustiest places, according to the article I'm reading. And once it was a 110-acre lake between 25 to 50 feet deep. So imagine that. Steamboats in Death Valley. For real, folks. So I thought you'd find that interesting. And I'll put a link in the show notes over on MidwesternGeekandCali.com. I'm doing a short show tonight, and I won't be back on for a couple of weeks. I have some very busy stuff coming up over the next 2 weeks. So I'll give you some more news about that later after I'm past it. But yeah, the next 2 weeks are going to be incredibly busy. I'm probably going to be putting in 60 hours plus on this project a week. And, you know, that's including having to do my regular schoolwork on top of what's coming up. I'm not ready to, oh, excuse me. It's another late one. I haven't had a lot of time lately. I'll be here spending more time with you, but I thought this was a cool little story. It's from a site called legendsofamerica.com, and I think there's a lot of good material there, and I'm looking for local California legends. You know, interesting stories from around the state, historic stories, and more interestingly, legends. The kind of things that kind of grab the imagination and hold them through time. But wow. Steamboats in Death Valley. That should be a song or something. It's just so cool. And on that note, I'll be back with you probably 2.5 weeks or so. And thank you for watching or listening and saying hello. I'm pretty beat. I need to go. But yeah, wow. Steamers in Owens Valley, California, otherwise known as Death Valley. That is cool. All right. Good night, everyone. And happy Vulcan fingers to you from the Agent of 42, and no rogue waves in your coffee mugs. All right.